Promoter Eddie Hearn, right? He's recently had this to say. I'm just going to quote this verbatim real quick. So this is a quote from the man himself, Eddie Hearn, and it's on potentially Billy Joe Saunders versus Canelo. Eddie Hearn has stated that they are close to agreeing a deal for Billy Joe Saunders to face Canelo Alvarez in May of this year. This is after Canelo Alvarez fights Avni Yildirim. Now this fight is looking to take place on February 27th, right? I've heard reports that Canelo is looking at potentially going and working at Matchroom on a 2-fight deal. Obviously, Yildirim, then Billy Joe. And if that happens, 27th of February, Canelo gets his mandatory out of the way. He fights Avni Yildirim. I'll touch on that now in a sec. As a result, right, he expects Demetrius Andre to fight his mandatory Liam Williams in March. He's kind of going on top of it, but he's basically saying that Billy Joe versus Canelo in May. I was going to say providing Canelo gets by Yildirim. Yildirim's tailor-made for Canelo. You know, he really is. He's not got a good defense. Punch resistance isn't great. He's big at the weight. Don't get me wrong. He's a big super middleweight, but he comes forward. He squares his shoulders up. Canelo gonna light him up like a Christmas tree. I see that being a 2 or 3 round job for Canelo. But I want to talk about Billy Joe in May. Right? We were meant to have Billy Joe versus Canelo May 2020. Obviously, we didn't get that. They did talk about redoing it for September 2020. All right. Again, didn't happen. We ended up getting Canelo versus Smith. It was what it was. Canelo dominated Callum Smith, but we got Billy Joe versus Martin Murray instead for Billy Joe. That wasn't a great fight. It was what it was. Billy Joe did what he needed to do. Clockwork-like performance. Martin Murray, I think he's retired now, Martin Murray. But it was 2 years in the making, that fight. So that's what we got. In terms of now, Billy Joe versus Canelo, the names that were mentioned other than Billy Joe were Triple G and Andy Golovkin, right? Now, I've seen Triple G fight Canelo twice, right? I'm expecting that we're going to see it again this year. I suspect we probably will. I suspect that's a September job, because Canelo, I think, said he wants to fight 3 times this year, right? Billy Joe, it's more intriguing to me. You know, when they were talking about potentially him fighting, because remember last year, January 2020, they were talking about Billy Joe or Callum Smith, and I would rather have seen Billy Joe, even prior to, you know, knowing what happened against Callum Smith. I just said from a stylistic point of view, Billy Joe could pose Canelo some problems. I've said it once, I'll say it again. I think he's slower at 168 than he is at 160, especially in the foot department. But I think that the movement he does, his slick boxing ability, Canelo, when he has to go looking for an opponent, right? More so at the lighter weights, when the guys were a lot faster, like Amir Khan and Floyd Mayweather, he struggled a bit because Canelo has got quite slow feet. At these higher weights, where the guys aren't as fast, he's not as bad, and it is due to the fact that he has improved exponentially as a fighter, as a pressure fighter, as a front foot fighter. You know, he was always good when the fight was coming at you. But, you know, look at the Amir Khan fight. You know, people kind of read too much into that. They say Amir Khan was well ahead. It was nip and tuck. But when he had to fight smaller guys than him, who had a bit more foot speed, and would move around the ring like Lara, he did struggle a bit more. But as he's grown through the weights, as he's moved up through the weights, these guys, and as well as that, his skill, he's improved at cutting off the ring. He's improved at his front foot, you know, pressure fighting skills. And the guy as well, these guys aren't as fast. It's just natural. They won't be. You know, you see these guys when they put a bit of weight on, they are a bit slower. So that's what Canelo's been doing. Canelo versus Billy Joe is interesting. I would pick Canelo to win. I think it'd be more competitive. I think it'd be damn side more competitive than Callum Smith was. For me, it's a more intriguing fight. The more I look at it, and I like what I'm seeing from Billy Joe. He's keeping himself active. He's been staying in the gym, all right? I think, is it with Mark Tibbs or is it Jimmy Tibbs he's training with? That, you know, before he would, you know, finish training, you'd see him on pictures on holidays, you know, this, that, and the other. But now he's in the gym. He's staying active. If he keeps himself in shape, this could be a competitive fight. I will still pick Canelo to win. Right? Make no mistake about that. I'll still pick Canelo to win. I think Canelo is just... he's in his prime. This is prime Canelo, I believe. Right? I think prime Canelo is just fantastic. I mean, if you look at Danny Jacobs, you have a tall, athletic fighter like Danny Jacobs when they fought. They just couldn't land the jab on Canelo. Couldn't land the jab on him. You know, the head movement is on point. His reflexes are on point. His punching power is there. His combination punching. I think there's just too much in Canelo's arsenal for Billy Joe. I think that Billy Joe, his movement, his boxing ability, he's got a decent southpaw jab. But I just think Canelo, he'll make Canelo look human in there, I reckon. I think he'll make Canelo look human, but I suspect Canelo will win the fight nonetheless. But I still think it's an interesting fight. Let me know your thoughts. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know what you think. Billy Joe versus Canelo. I mean, does anyone really think Yildirim's going to be that competitive against Canelo? I sure as hell don't. Alright, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Lads, I hope you all enjoyed it. Interested to hear what you got to say. Smash the like button if you did. Hashtag GMansRocks, all that good stuff. If you're new, guys, subscribe. We try and get to 4K as quick as we can. Lads, I'll talk to you. Peace.